fast. That's
Yeah,
who.
MacArthur. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, look, man,
Wow.
No.
bro.
Douglas MacArthur actually wanted to bomb. He wanted to drop it on Tokyo.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they had firebombed Tokyo leading up to dropping the atomic bombs, and they were saying that they wouldn't surrender or some shit, so that they needed something
Yeah,
to
yeah,
really
yeah.
like a real 1-2 punch, you know, knock them out. Like, and I guess yeah, they used the fucking nukes.
MacArthur was crazy as hell, bro. He was
Yeah,
That
crazy,
guy's going down, dude. That guy's going down in history.
bro. Bro. Like his
I
solution to
mean,
everything was, why don't we just nuke him?
yo,
Like
if you think
he
about it,
suggested that we nuke the Koreans in the Korean War. That
yeah,
was a real suggestion too. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If you
It's
think about
nuke
it,
Russia,
yo,
nuke China, nuke Korea. These was
mhm,
they were like, look, man, we gonna force retire you, bro. It's time to take you from Mars now.
mhm. I mean, dude, if I can add, if you think about it, bro, they invested so much time, money, effort into the Manhattan Project and the projects around it that what's the point of that project if you can't just nuke the fuck out of the people you hate? You know what I mean? So let's pose it like this, right? Let's put a little bit of game theory. Maybe this isn't game theory, but whatever. Let's put a little bit of that in there. Let's throw a little of that in the pot. Let's say you know a week in advance that one of your bases in Hawaii is going to get bombed by the Japanese military, right? The other side of the war, right? You know this. And
Mhm.
you have the Manhattan Project, right? You have the products of that and you have the fruit of that, right? Sitting in little silos, right? What do? You wait for them to bomb your base. You make them give you the excuse to absolutely annihilate their not only just that generation, but generations
think
after
like this.
that, right? And you make an example out of them, right? You begin the nuclear era. You know what I mean? You begin the nuclear bomb era.
What type of
That's how you
evil ass shit? What?
Jackie, this ain't game theory. Jackie, that's a goddamn evil scientist
Yeah,
dream. That's not game theory, bro. Like game what number one, what's the objective? That's the
Mhm,
first thing to identify
mhm,
game theory. What's the
mhm,
game and what's the
mhm.
objective?
Yeah, that's why I said it was a
Why the
little
hell
bit.
would you why the hell would you jump straight to, all right, you know what? We gonna set the whole country on fire. Why would you jump to that?
Yeah.
How does that
it's
achieve
the
the
programming.
objective?
It's the programming we've received. That's where the American logic goes.
I don't believe in human rights.
American exceptionalism. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
And that's my thing.
Yeah.
Like the concept of right this nuclear age. It's like ushering that in. Literally is like you know about mutually assured destruction, right?
Mhm.
And it's just like it just doesn't end well, you know. Like it's not sustainable if you start just nuking all your enemies and letting them, you know, attack you to have an excuse. The outcome, the goal is going to be everyone's fucking dead, and all of your waterways are poisoned, and your groundwater is poisoned, and your air is poisoned, and all that shit. It's not
Yeah.
going to end up with like
Let's
winning and like walking off into the sunset. It's like everyone's going to fucking die.
Yeah.
let's talk about some real game theory real quick, Jackie. Right.
Uh-huh.
So let's say that there's a bully on a playground. This guy's for some reason he's 12 years old, but he's 6 feet tall. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
He got hands
mhm.
like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson together, and he's going around beating the hell out of all of these kids in this playground. Right? What is the most likely thing that would happen in this scenario? If he can beat the hell out of all these kids in this playground individually, what would most likely happen?
He will.
He will. And what would be the consequence of this?
The kids will become very, very sad. And the kids will, if
He'll
they're
go to
smart,
jail.
coalition against him.
That's right. They're going to band together and they're going to jump his ass. That's what's going to
Hell
happen.
yeah. Hell yeah.
And so And so you need to make sure if you do have all this power, right, as a nation, which is a so-called superpower, as we like to think of ourselves, that you don't create a situation that we get jumped by the world.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing a good job of that?
Yes. Yes, we have. Well, what did we do through World War II? I mean, the destruction of Europe, and we lent them a bunch of guns and a bunch of help, and they fell under our debt, and they've basically become
Okay,
the state
so
of America.
on the topic of like jumping on, I had a question. Okay, according to you guys,
Mhm.
like how many countries could America like deal with? Like if they had, if like all the countries had were to go to war against America, do you think America could deal with, let's say, the entirety of the European Union along with Russia? Like where
No,
is the end point? Do you think?
no,
Not
no.
Like
sure, no.
how many do you
So
think?
so
How
so
many do you
look,
think they could deal with?
we don't think of it in terms of like how many countries. We think of it in terms of theaters, theaters of war, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the
Battlefront.
American U.S. military is designed to be able to, in theory, fight in two different theaters at the same time, in two different hemispheres. Now, if it's two theaters in the same hemisphere, this is a logistics problem, and this was put a lot of strain and stress on our ability or our capabilities, right? It has to be in two different hemispheres in two different theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So theoretically, we would be able to fight a war in the Philippines and a war in Africa, theoretically.
Or
But I
like
don't even think we have this
China
capability today.
and Eastern
No, China's too big.
Europe or something,
Oh
or not
no.
China, but
Oh no.
like I
I
don't
don't
know,
know,
Taiwan
man.
or in Eastern Europe or something like that.
Yeah, those regions. So we would be able
Regionally,
to.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
We think of it regionally. Yeah, it doesn't
that's
matter
kind
how
of
many countries.
is that the model that was put in place like during or after World War II?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Yep.
it's the national defense strategy.
It was after World War II though.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because that was the last war
He's
we
right.
fought in two theaters
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the same time, like large scale war, multi-year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
I don't. But personally, I don't think we could do this. I don't think we could do
yeah,
two theaters.
nah, I yeah. I
Well,
saw
what are
something.
our
I don't
theaters?
know how credible this guy is, but the guy Lucky Palmer or whatever from Anduril, he was saying that like currently with America's shipbuilding capability and like munitions manufacturing capability, if we were to get into like a conflict with China, we would have like enough munitions for like a couple weeks or some shit like that, and then we'd be out.
Mm-hmm.
I believe
Like
that.
all out
It's like
full scale
Walmart
conflict.
in the middle of a
Yeah.
tornado.
Yeah,
Yep.
Would you say
Ali. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's up?
Ali, but what are our theaters? The Indo-Pacific and the European?
like North
Like
African?
we have theaters everywhere. We have, so if you look at our match comms, I believe that there's nine, but maybe this has changed since then. These are our theaters. So we have the European Major Command, Africa Major Command, Pacific Major Command, um, South Pacific Major Command, South America Major Command, etc. Right? These are our theaters. So they're nine, I think.
But which ones are the ones that have the highest amount of preparedness for the ones that we have decided to
Pacific.
over yeah,
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 Pacific. Yeah,
Indo-Pacific. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pacific. I was a part of Pacific MatchCom, and
Oh.
yeah, we ready for a whole lot of stuff over there. Whole
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we got bases in Guam, Okinawa,
Mhm.
Korea, especially South Korea, and even
Yeah.
farther, I mean, like Australia.
yeah. Australia is like the launching point or one of the launching
Uh-huh.
points into Southeast Asia.
Yeah, bro, we have over 300,000 troops over there. No, in Australia. In Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like I was reading about some sort of like top secret like CIA facilities that they have in Australia. That's like it's basically like it's like a piece of I mean, I guess all American bases elsewhere are like pieces of American territory elsewhere, but it's like the 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 um the restrictions that the CIA has on this facility from even the Australian government is kind of wild. It's like,
Yeah, bro.
imagine if your
Yeah,
neighbor,
yeah, that's true.
you guys
That's
are
true.
cool, you guys are homies, you
Hmm.
know, borrow each other's shit sometimes, but then this motherfucker comes and builds a whole facility in your backyard, puts a barbed wire
Like for
fence and like
example,
arms people like in there, and he's like, "Yeah, you can't come in here, buddy.
yeah.
Hmm.
I'll
Yeah, for
pay you
example, like
taxes,
even
but like,
this, you guys remember the conflict between India and Pakistan that happened right for the few days that people were
Yeah.
fearing would go nuclear. The airbase
Mhm.
that was attacked by
Yeah.
India, and after which the basically Trump said that we have announced a ceasefire. That airbase is actually owned by America, like it's run by Americans, and we have only American
Yeah.
aircrafts there.
yeah,
So you can see the level of influence. Like literally, Pakistani people are not allowed to be there, even the military.
yeah.
So that's like, I mean, you guys have a lot of vassal states, to be fair.
You said we have a lot of the what?
Vassal states, basically, I feel like, I mean, Japan and South Korea to an extent could also be considered as vassals of America.
Oh, vassal
Even
states. Yeah,
Pakistan, the like by and large, the
Yeah,
vassal
that's what he's
states.
saying. Bastard.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like America, the American military theory is that we're going to overmatch. So everything is overmatch theory. So if there's a force, right, then America won't go to war, like real war, right, with that force unless there's a 3-to-1 ratio of overmatch. And then with that 3-to-1 ratio of the American military itself, they'll
Hmm.
bring all their allies as well.
You mean 3-to-1
Every
ratio in
ally.
terms of personnel or equipment?
Yeah, yeah,
Every
yeah, yeah. Soldiers. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So
Yeah.
so
Air
are you
Force.
claiming that
Everything.
majority of American military strengths is all thematics, like it's all like visual and stuff, and on the real ground, we might say that they are not really as strong as they appear to be.
No, it's
Is
not
that the
that.
point that you're
It's
trying to
not
make?
that, right? But the no, I'm not making that point. I'm saying that like America, when we go to war, we try to squeeze out every advantage possible to win.
Hmm.
So like we don't want a head to
Ah,
head
got it.
fair fight.
yeah, an even fight.
That's
Yeah.
not. No, we don't want that. We want to, yeah, ensure every single advantage, every single
So
last one.
how does the American
So I think that
military?
also ties to like your reputation in the world, right? So you're trying
Yeah.
to dominate basically to show yourself that okay, look, this is how strong we are, and you shouldn't mess with us. So I think it's a part of it is thematics as well. That when
Hmm.
you overwhelm your opponents, that okay, no one else would also want to mess with you. So I
Hmm.
understand.
How do
Yeah,
they how do they
if you think,
reconcile? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, look at Iraq War One, where this was the first modern conventional war fought this way. Under this military theory, we had an overmatch theory. On top of that, there was an overmatch in the Navy, there was an overmatch in the Air Force, and we brought a coalition of like 16 countries for Iraq. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
Still
So
got our asses
yeah,
whooped.
this
that's
is
true. Basically,
So
bringing
how did?
a gun to a knife fight, basically, or
Yeah,
basically bringing a missile to a gun knife fight.
yeah,
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 bring
yeah.
a missile to a yeah, bring a missile
We're
to a
bringing
fist fight.
a A10 to a
Hmm.
fist fight.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I want
But we don't anymore.
Yeah, I was about to say, how are they reconciling
We
China
don't
and
anymore because we don't anymore because we allowed so many spies and just we actually just flaunted these weapons so much. We allowed so many spies like Pollard and uh what was the other one? What was the other one? Robert.
Hmm. Hmm. Probably.
yeah,
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the N-word. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mexican standoff.
Yeah. And I think like America's geological positioning also like contributes to like the way they
Yeah.
battle or like the military strategy, because they're kind of protected like from the seas, and they really don't have any strong adversaries that they share a border with, right? So
Nope.
that really
Mhm.
enables them to like carry out these operations. For example, let's
Yeah.
say a China or a Russia, it has like adversaries close by, and so it has to focus on that sense. But America, you guys are like gifted, so to say, by the
Yeah.
heavens to be positioned in such a position.
Whispering. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, but the thing is, like, we've destabilized every other rising power in the West, or sorry, in, let's say, the Americas, in the Americas, yeah, yeah, in the Americas, for as long as we've been, I don't know, since the Spanish American War, let's say, yeah, we've just destabilized every other growing power, like, historically. I mean, like, look at PB Success, look at the replacement of Allende with Pinochet. Look at Brazil. I mean, it's, yeah. Look at Mexico. Every single time. Yeah. And look at Cuba too. The Cuban Missile Crisis. The closest we've come to global destruction. Yeah. But then, But then you look at the way that we act on other countries, right? You can look at NATO. That's not necessarily us, but you can look at the way NATO has encircled Russia, right? Or you can also look at bases like the Cadena AFB, who are just absolute. They're what dad mentioned earlier. Your dad bitch mentioned earlier about the MAD, mutually assured destruction. They're just those bases there that are clearly just nuclear blackmail. Yeah, yeah. But the problem is when everyone has nukes. Uh-huh. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's honestly, bro, I've come to the conclusion. I used to like growing up in DC, I used to have this fear that like, we were due for a fucking nuke attack. And I'm just like, bro, realistically, what what is stopping any any small group? There's a lot of America has a lot of enemies around the world. So if one of them happens to acquire a device or something, and like I always just wonder, like, what if they just used it without warning, like the way we did. Um, and it's just like, I don't know, the pendulum has to swing the other way at some point.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and
Imagine
that's just
imagine
reality.
this.
We
Yeah.
we 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 did that. They did that. It
Uh-huh.
was before my time. It was before my parents' time. But
Mhm.
they did that, and we technically we benefited. We are benefiting as a result of that because America's positioning at the end of World War II is the reason we're in this position.
Perfect. It's
You know.
perfect. Yeah.
Um. So
Yeah, we,
yeah.
we, we, we reign supreme over all of Europe and the world, really, but especially over Europe. Dude, look at sorry, what was I gonna say? Imagine if we never bombed Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Imagine if we never did that. Not only would those people be alive, sure, and would the people that came from them would also not be stricken with disease and nuclear radiation. But imagine how the world would be if we just never shot those weapons. No one would know
Yeah.
that we'd had them, or maybe, well, yeah, the spies that were in the Manhattan Project, but it wouldn't be as mainstream. Not at all. You know, imagine
Yeah.
if we still had those in our pockets. You know,
Yeah. If the Manhattan Project stayed secret through the Cold War or some shit.
yeah, maybe if it would have been a little bit of better, you know, vetting, a little bit more secretive. You know,
I
but
don't
it's
know
kind
if
of
that
hard to
would
be
necessarily
secretive.
be better though, because then I'm like,
I feel like
Bro, they
a
recorded
conflict
it.
like
They
what?
recorded the drop.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
They
yeah.
exactly. It's
recorded
kind
it.
of hard.
They were like,
yeah, I
get this
feel
Yeah,
shit
like
on
that
camera.
contributes to like American hegemony as well. Like the thematics that we spoke about. Like I feel like Nagasaki and Hiroshima is where it started. You know, this overwhelming power bringing bringing a missile to a fist fight,
yeah,
as Ibrahim
yeah.
rightly pointed out. And I think that has been like the mojo of the United States American army, like from right from there. You know,
Yeah,
like
but think
Yeah.
about
the
it. I mean,
thematics have always
America.
been that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, think about it. Like America's always tried to like like think about the Vietnam War, right? What did we use? We used Agent Orange. We literally sprayed
Yeah.
like these chemicals over villages that weren't militant. We sprayed these chemicals over villages full
Yeah.
of pregnant women, children, all of this.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
the people saw their children being born with all types of
Yeah.
Exactly.
malformations
And
and
for
no
example,
arms,
even
no
the
eyes.
And it
Yeah,
didn't
like
even work.
Iraq
And
War.
that was the thing about Vietnam is that the whole Rolling Thunder campaign didn't work, and
absolutely.
they had to lie and fudge numbers to
Absolutely.
maintain what little support for the war they had at that point. But it
Yeah,
was
I
just
Yeah.
mean,
crazy because it's like,
fundamentally,
go ahead.
I feel like the Americans they like commit a lot of war crimes. To be fair, like just to contribute to the
Yeah.
overwhelming thematics. Example, let's say the Iraq War. Like you saw the Julian Assange WikiLeaks tapes. Then you know about Abu Ghraib as well. You know, so like sometimes like as a non-American, it feels almost hypocritical on your part when people lecture about human rights and war crimes and all to other nations when you guys have been the ones who have been kind of masters at doing the same.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are the pariah state in the world, or one of them. You know, we're the guy who walked into the room, the only guy with the gun who walked into the room, shot a random guy or shot a guy that they were beefing with, and then told
Shot a
everybody
child,
else
I
to
guess.
put their hands up, and they were like, "Hey, nobody else reach for a gun," and we're holding a smoking gun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hell yeah. One nation under God. No, man. No. Like, and what I was saying earlier, it's about demoralizing. It's about demoralizing your enemy. You know, you make
Yeah.
them think that you're just a demon straight out of hell. You know, like you literally throw suns on their cities, literal suns, and then you spray insane chemicals that make their babies have malformations and their babies after them. You know, it's insane. It's like this. It's psychological warfare, but it's even more than that. It's making yourself a undefeatable devil. You know.
That's what they call special forces in other countries, green-eyed devils.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like another thing that I feel makes America different, like military different from the like other nations, is like I don't really think it's like always fundamentally there for the best interests of the general public. I mean, considering the fact that they were about to conduct a lot of false flag operations just to justify the Cuban invasion, right? Like I think Operation Northwoods and all. So like for example, let's say the Indian military, I feel like fundamentally it's there to protect us. I feel like American in the like military is there to protect the system that is in place and is willing to sacrifice the civilians for that cause, for that matter. Like
Yeah.
that's just the outsider's perspective that I see from it. Like Operation
No,
Northwoods was
no.
a big example that okay, you guys
I
can do
I
anything.
I 100% agree. Like it's I was talking to a couple of guys in here, Americans and stuff, and they were concerned with like, the National Guard patrolling through cities, in
Yeah.
Humvees. They were like,
Yeah.
why would we have the military here? They should be somewhere else. It's like, why do you think the military should not be in our country? You know, which country should the US military be in? So like there's already this idea that the military doesn't belong in our own borders.
Yeah. If it
Yeah.
doesn't belong
And
here,
I
then what the
think
fuck are
that's
we doing sending them somewhere else?
yeah, exactly.
Four
It's
thousand
that
miles
I
away.
found
Like, what
that
the
pretty
Yeah.
hell?
crazy.
But this is this is the U.S. presence, neocon, other type of stuff, but especially neocon type of doctrine that we should be involved in everyone else but ourselves. You know, we should be involved in everyone's business. They need us. They need us. We're the gospel. You know, we're the gospel. We need to spread ourselves. We spread ourselves thin across the world because they don't have enough freedom. You know, let's give them some freedom. Let's give them some democracy. No, not just gunpowder, man.
I just
Uranium.
You
like
should ask the, ask
Yeah,
the children and women in Abu Ghraib about what freedom smells like. To be fair,
No, no. Freedom.
it's
Freedom smells like crude oil and uranium, sir.
depleted uranium and white phosphorus.
Yeah. Yeah. That's real freedom right there. That's real freedom. Mhm. Mhm. But yeah, I mean, it's the idea of this ties into my what I was talking about the other day. It's who's willing to go all the way, you know, who's willing to suspend morality to or just not even have morality
that's true.
to
That's
come out
very
on
true.
top. To come out on top. It's who's
I feel
willing
like
to because the one that ends up on top is always the one who's able
I
to
agree with you.
or in many cases the
I
one
agree with
who's
you.
willing to go as far as they can, as farther
That's
than anyone
possible.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
farther than anyone else.
I think
the
again,
that's
I
the
feel like
modus
this also
operandi
ties to like
for
how Mossad gained power, you know, like over the United
Yep.
States, or just just became the strongest intelligence agency. Even Mossad,
Yep.
that's how they gained power. Like they were willing to do things that other people were not. That gave them
Yep.
an edge over the others. So no one else is
Absolutely.
about to like involved into this children-based honey trap operation. No sane intelligence agency would have done that, but they did, and that's why
Yeah.
they are at the top. So I feel like
Absolutely.
that is like a
Absolutely. Yeah.
requirement to go to the top.
And then you wonder how do the evil people always get to the top? You know what I mean? Like what is it that separates them? What is it? What is the system? Yeah, yeah, it's right. But even if yeah, no, but mhm, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hmm. It's a bad word, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
it's sociopathy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. Dissociative
Yeah, you need
psychopath
that, and that's the
psychopathy.
thing, bro. That's how you get a fucking above top secret security clearance. Is if
Yeah.
they see you're a fucking sociopath and you're willing to play
Uh-huh.
ball for the team and break the rules
Yeah.
and not say shit. That's it's like that. It's like that with any. It's like that in a gang. But
Uh-huh.
The American
Yeah,
Empire is a
I like.
gang,
That's the
so to
initiation.
speak.
That's how initiations
True.
work. You know,
Yeah,
you're seeing if someone's willing to, I don't know, fuck someone in a coffin, right? Rape someone in a coffin. That's the skull and bones initiation. So like it's
that's what
dude,
they
and it's
do.
not and heroes don't matter. Heroes don't matter. Absolutely not.
Oh
No.
shit.
The problem is that it's not about good people. Good people can't compete against bad people in my opinion. Because the
Yeah,
problem
I agree
is
with you.
yeah,
100%.
the problem is that the morality. I mean, I'm a moral. I like to do the right thing, right? But I can recognize that morality is a disadvantage in front of a amoral person because that's something that's tying you
Yeah.
down to be a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
person. Like you're
It's a
not
hurdle.
the
It's a
like
roadblock.
Who's willing to make
exactly,
break the most
exactly.
rules?
Absolutely. It's the person, it's like the image. Okay, I'm gonna paint this image. It's the image of a superhero and a villain fighting, and the villain is shooting at the people that the superhero is trying to save, and the superhero is sacrificing himself, shielding those good people, right? But the
Yep.
villain is using that against him, right? He's using his
Right.
morality against him. That's the image, you know?
The
It's
villain goes for the civilian because he knows heroes conscience.
I like.
absolutely, yeah.
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 True.
That's the image,
Yeah.
you know. So you wonder why they always win. That's the reason why. And the heroes can't beat
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I think that's what's like one of the reasons why it makes me an agnostic. You know, like, damn, like if this was really, perhaps it's a requirement in this world to be able to get ahead, like to the top.
Well, well, yeah. I mean,
And
this
that's
adds.
when you start thinking whether we really live in a moral world.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
This. Hmm. Hmm.
Like, if you're, one of the requirements of getting on top is to be immoral. So, can you really say you live in an immoral world?
Yeah,
Right.
and
So, that's always
hmm
something I wrestle with.
hmm yeah, and and I gotta yeah, yeah. Oh, no, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have a really good idea, and I apologize. No, I wanted to
Yeah, yeah,
add that
keep going.
this is part of this other thing that I've been battling with. You know, it's like um religions who has pushed religions the most, you know, the people at the top. They've pushed it down, right? Downwards onto all of us. And but who are the ones that act like they have the least religious affection, you know, they have the least affection over what religion entitles, like they preach about hell, they preach about condemnation, they preach about judgment, but they act as if
I
judgment would
so agree
never
with you.
befall them,
Like,
you know,
literally. I feel like this, right? They tell us to fear God, yet the
yeah,
people who tell us to fear God do things that like, do things pretending as if God doesn't exist, right? Like, that's what you're
exactly,
trying to say.
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly,
so,
and
yeah. It almost
mhm,
feels like a feels tool of subversion, right?
yeah,
Like, they're telling us to be good because they don't want competition. They don't want
yes,
other people to break the rules so that
yes,
they can
yes,
stay on top,
exactly,
right?
exactly, sure, sure, mhm, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, agree with you.
yeah, yeah, mhm. Uh-huh. Yeah, you could argue like Moloch, Ba, and Baal, any of them. But in my talking point, right, the falsification of religion isn't necessary. We could just say that they've manipulated religion as a weapon or as a handicap onto people by adding this need for morality, right? Which morality is very important in my opinion. Morality is amazing. But the thing is that they've pushed this morality onto people as sort of a handicap, but they don't follow that same morality, so they
They
are
don't
able to
practice
come
what
on
they
top.
preach. I agree with
Exactly.
you.
So mhm, yeah, absolutely.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree. I agree.
So I feel like Marx was right when he masses, right?
Yeah,
Religion is the opium of the masses. And I
yeah.
feel
Just
like
look at.
sometimes communism also has some good points, like
Mhm.
genuine.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. Just look at Calvinism. Look at Calvinism, right? Calvinism was a branch off from Protestantism, and what Calvinism said is that your labor, it changed it from good deeds and being a good person to your labor and your work will get you into heaven. Being a good worker,
Yeah,
being
that's true.
a laborer, you know? And what does this really mean? I mean, oh yeah, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna be a
I
good
mean, that's what
worker
the
and this.
kings did, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
I've been
about being
blessed
a
by the
good
gods, so
laborer.
you guys should follow me.
Yeah,
The kings and all.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the problem is who started Calvinism, right? It's the corporate interests. It's the people at the top who need more laborers, right? Who need more people to work for them.
You know, Calvin was a fraud, and he got found out for like bringing people back to life. He was doing this like raising people from the dead. He had this
Yeah,
guy who would fake being dead, and
that was a nut.
he would bring him back to yeah, yeah. This is real, bro. This is real history.
Absolutely,
And
man. No one teaches this. No one
it's
teaches.
so crazy, but he I was going to tell the full story, but yeah, just look into
Go
it.
ahead, Ali.
It's crazy. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm good. But yeah, just
Look,
it's some crazy ass stuff when you look into Calvin's life and what he was doing, fooling these people, acting like he was damn instrument of God. You know, it's insane stuff.
yeah.
But like, I would like to make an argument here, right? I would like make a. I feel like.
Oh, he was a French philosopher. Mhm. No, but I think they left, but yeah, man, it's yeah, that's just another good example of it. It's just a we don't have to
Yeah, I
deny
agree.
religion. We don't have to deny religion, but we can identify that it's definitely been used as a weapon of
Absolutely
mass coalition and mass subjugation to mechanize peoples.
true.
And this is another aspect. It's not just making them believe in it from whatever age. It's making them believe in it from a young age so that you can make that the base of their you can make that the lens through which they see the world. You make that the base from which they learn everything. So they learn every they say, oh, science, okay, so let's say chemistry is just the code of God, or physics is the code by which God has made us, right? So then you say all of these things, and now they make sense of everything scientific through the teachings of these religious texts, right? And God. So once you start to, talk about things that might reject that, then they start getting a sense of cognitive dissonance. So now they start shutting down and their whole world starts to crumble. So it's about making them believe in this
But
from a
can
young
we
age.
really blame these people, or should we say that it's our fault for like falling for it so easily? Like for example, like we are still fine. Like at least we think for ourselves. Back in the days, a king would say, "I've been chosen by the god to rule you all," and people will just listen to him. He'd be like, the divine passing off, the king ruling the people, and everyone just believed it. So like to
Mhm.
be fair, like I know they are evil.
Yeah.
I know they are evil, but like, is it really? Like, can't we really blame them if we fall for their tricks? It's like I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
we have to be blamed more than
yeah,
these
yeah,
very
yeah,
people because
yeah,
yeah, I mean it's
kind of.
survival of the fittest, right? And
Look
it's
at
survival of the fittest.
look at the Crusades. Look at the Crusades. hmm
True.
Yeah. uh Yeah. I mean, look at the Crusades, man. They were absolute idiots. Like, for example, in the things that the popes are and the paps were able to convince these people to do to just die for absolutely no reason. Like, for example, in the Fourth Crusade, when they literally began the fall of Constantinople. Like they literally began it. Like they were the first fire in the fall of Constantinople. They literally began it, man. They literally destroyed their own dominance. It's insane. They were so stupid, but they listened to the powers that they wanted to listen to, that made them listen to them. They just did whatever they said. Mhm.
That's true. That's true. That's why, like, like I've always identified more as like just, non-religious, but like pro-faith, because I feel like this has always been the case, to be fair. And I feel like part of the reason that could be like you could argue that it's not our fault is because we have not been taught better, right? If from generations and generations we've been taught to follow religion, like indoctrinated into this sort of like a boxed out thinking that okay, this is good, this is bad, but it's not really our fault for falling in it too, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's like it's very systemic. No. I just said that it's very systemic. So it's not that
Yeah.
we're just falling for their like lies for no reason and we are stupid. No, it's like ingrained in our like grow like
Mhm.
basically in our upbringing. The
I can add.
religion and you should not do bad things. You should follow the rules. You
Yeah.
should like follow the teachers, etc., etc. The Prussian education system, etc. For example,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So it's so industrialized and systemized that we have no choice but to just accept that this is the only true narrative or this is the one narrative that exists and nothing
Yeah.
else could take place. And the
Mhm.
other problem is, I feel like we ourselves do not allow other narratives to be pushed. So let's say there's one narrative that the society follows, right? Like, do work hard to get success, etc., etc. If someone wants to do something unconventionally, he is punished. by us itself, not even by the elites, but by us itself, because we don't know better, right? So this critical
Mhm.
thinking, I think, also plays a role here, seeing the other side. So yeah,
Whispering.
I feel like, I mean,
Yeah,
credit to
yeah.
the elites, to be fair.
Whispering. I have
Yeah,
something to add to your point. Great point, and I have something to add to it to sort of to help show the systemic idea of it. I've this is another
yeah, yeah, sure.
facet. This is another facet of my thing that I've been studying recently, and it's the idea that religion, right? Religion. Well, religion is just a set of ideas, but let's call it religion, right? Religion has learned over time to mechanize unconditional love, right? Unconditional love, the idea of unconditional love. So you have your what is so special about your parents, right? The fact that they made you and this and that and they care for you, but it's the fact that they have unconditional love for you, you know? Like maybe some other people in your life will have unconditional love for you, but the idea is that your parents will always be there for you to help you, and they won't judge you, and they will be the ones who will always be there for you, right? They will always love you, and you will always defend them, right? And they will always defend you. So the idea of mechanizing unconditional love towards a religion to make people defend this religion no matter what. So you say, oh, the for example, the genocide of the Amalekites, the genocide of the Phoenicians, the genocide of the Canaanites, you know, all of these horrible things. And then they say, oh, but it's okay, right? Oh, but it's
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
I
They
agree with
defend
you.
it.
I
They
agree with
defend
you
it, and they
completely.
ignore. Yeah, they defend it, but they ignore the dilemmas. You know, they ignore the bad parts. And this is
Yeah,
another
and
aspect of how the American empire has also mechanized unconditional love, because you know, like the bombing of bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, Agent Orange, PB Success, all of this stuff, all of this horrible stuff,
yeah,
and
I
people
feel
still
like
defend,
even to
you
this
know?
day, you could say, right?
No worries.
Like even to this day you can see like biblical support for Israel because it's the Israel of the Bible. That's like you
Yes,
can still see it in place. And another point
yes.
that I wanted to add here is when you say like the system itself is so like immoral, right? You know, the immorality is the way you can move forward. When we see these small transgressors like Martin Shkreli and all who do, you know, they crash the stock market or do something, I feel they are criminals because they're literally doing what the elites are doing, but to a smaller extent, and they're at least being honest about what they're doing, right? So I feel like that should be like even promoted perhaps, because if someone else is transgressing to get to the top and controlling us, if us normal people are also transgressing, like someone like a Martin Shkreli who raised the drug prices and created the hike to basically earn a lot
Yep.
of money, that's
Mhm.
fine, because it's not really an immoral thing, because the requirement to get to the top is being immoral. Right. So I think that's why whenever I see these people, I'm like, no, the other people are essentially doing the same thing. Just because you're not aware of it doesn't necessarily mean they are not doing it, and it's a bad thing.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it's the idea of this is, and I'm gonna add to your point. I'm not sure if this is a little bit obfuscating, but please tell me if I am. But it's the idea of manipulation of the words as well. So you know, like the chosen people, right? Not to start
I
with
agree with you.
the Jewish talk, but it's the idea of the chosen people. But what were they chosen for, right? It's the manipulation of the word. So they weren't chosen as on top of everyone else, right? They weren't chosen ones. They weren't the chosen ones. They were the people chosen to spread the truth about God in their religion, right? They were the people. Let's talk a little bit more secularly. They were the people chosen to spread the truth about God, spread the idea of God, and spread the word of God. You know, it's the gospel. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I have more to say.
Jackie, Jackie, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
That's
man,
correct.
they've changed it,
And
you know?
and
And
Yeah,
and they never
I like
did.
euphemism.
They never did.
they never did, and
They
I can tell
completely
you more.
failed this they completely failed this task.
They failed it completely. God gave them that land, right? God promised them that land. Yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm.
they're not the people.
I really yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. I really wanna uh-huh, I really wanna catch my train. Look, the problem is that God, right, in their religion promised them this land, right? He promised them this land. He promised that they will have this land, and with this land they will do good, right? What they did was they got to that land, they assassinated and murdered everyone that lived there originally and used that land to conquer around them, right? So the problem is that they took the chosen, right? They took the chosen and made it seem like if they were superior, it was a chosen of superiority. But no, it was a chosen of is this is your moral this is your task that I'm giving you to spread my truth. So what happened? God looked at them and they said and he said, this is completely incorrect. This is completely wrong. This they've completely blasphemized my idea. It's been completely destroyed. And what did he do? In the religion, talking secularly, in the religion, he sends down Jesus for what? Jesus is now the new chosen one. He's the Messiah. Messiah means messenger. So now they're not the messengers. He's taken that task away from them. They're no longer the messengers. Okay? Jesus comes down as the Messiah, as the messenger to now, because they couldn't complete that task. So now he has to. Back then, in the religion of Judaism, they would sacrifice goats, lambs, whatever, to pay for their sins, right, at the altar. So now Jesus has come down and died for our sins. So now he's the last sacrifice, right? He's completely replaced Judaism, and it's not replacement, it's fulfillment. He's fulfilled Judaism into Christianity, talking secularly in the religious sense. He was a Hebrew man.
But
Yeah.
okay, so okay, I agree with you, okay, Jackie Chan, that
But
they have misinterpreted the
you
name of God and name of being chosen. I agree with
hmm
you, but what about what the Jewish text or the Talmud says about the non-Jews and all, right?
You said
Because I
what?
feel
Sorry, I
like
couldn't I
what the
couldn't hear
Talmud
you
says about the
whispering.
non-Jews. No,
I couldn't hear you
essentially what
whispering.
you said was, perhaps the Jewish people or the people of Israel, they have misinterpreted the
Yeah.
chosen title and the chosen
Yeah.
moniker by turning themselves into supreme. I agree with you, okay,
hmm
but do you think that this also could be something that was a natural progression? Because if you read the Jewish texts, for example, the Torah and Talmud, Talmud, I mean, they say that it's not really the main religious text, but Talmud, when they speak about non-Jews, it almost seems as if they treat them as inferior to the Jewish
Oh
people,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
was it
Yeah.
something that's natural,
Yeah. No. 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 The
or do
the
you
problem
think?
is yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You took a pause.
No, no, no. Okay, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
just wanted you
mean,
to continue.
for anyone that's listening, if anyone's listening yet, I mean still, if you I recommend you read the Talmud, right? And you look at the things that they say in the Talmud, and you really think about it and think, are these people good people? The people who practice the Talmud. Yeah, in Khazaria. hmm
And
Yeah.
then another point I wanted to add. Okay, so sorry to disturb. The funny thing is when we say the people of Israel, we're talking about Semites, right? But to be fair, if you look at DNA testing and all, the Palestinians are the actual Semites who
Yes.
converted into Islam. The majority of
Yes.
Europeans, the people who live in Israel, are coming from Europe. So they are not the people from Israel that you're talking about. Just because they share the religion doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean that they're Israelites, right? Because
Yeah.
they're not Semites.
Yeah. And DNA testing, I shall add. Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. hmm Absolutely. And
True.
yeah. Yeah. And if I shall add, DNA testing is completely illegal in Israel. It's completely illegal because
Israel. Yep.
yeah,
Yep. And in fact, they suffer from the most not used to the temperatures. Like they've not grown up in the area.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's amazing. And if you look at the real climate of Israel, if you look at the
yeah, 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 absolutely.
Right. We're stating historical facts right now. We haven't set up a
Yeah, we're
single
stating
opinion.
like genuine points. And it's not a criticism about Jewish people per se, but rather the misinterpretation of Judaism, which has now been weaponized by the elites, who to be fair don't care about religion to begin with, to justify the atrocities that they're committing. That's what we are
Yeah.
against, not against
Yeah.
the religion of Judaism per se.
We're criticizing the elites and the effect that they've had on the actual book that the people read. We're criticizing the book and the elites, not the we're criticizing the teachings, not the people. I know I personally know a lot of Jewish people. I have a lot of Jewish friends. My best friend's actually Jewish,
He
and
said the line.
they're not in any way hateful or bad people.
Yeah, that's
He
true.
said the line. I have to say this though. Like, I think someone mentioned we can't discredit religion. We have to know exactly what religion is and see it for what it is. Right.
Yeah.
So religion is pretty much simply faith. It doesn't matter what your religion is. What matters is people believe in it. You believe.
hmm
So that's the true power in a religion. So when you
Yeah.
say, oh, they say this in this book and say this and that, think about why they're saying that. It's to give them more power. They are very aware that what they believe in influences reality.
Yeah.
And us as human beings, we have to come together and understand what we'd like to believe in and just follow that and try to believe in something that is correct and brings the best life for all humans on the planet.
Yeah. And there's a difference.
Okay.
There's
So I
religion,
just
right?
had to idea to
There's
throw here.
hmm
An idea to throw here would have been like, do you think it could have been better if faith was or religion was purely a personal affair and it was institutionalized like it was? Do you think that we could have lived better in that sense if nobody would like discuss religion like in that sense like we see today and it was purely a personal affair? Do you think it could have been better in that sense? Because I think that would, yeah,
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
but
think so.
it's always going to be manipulated by those at the top. So unfortunately, I'm not.
yeah, that's true.
Right. Right. I mean, if I
Yeah, true.
yeah, if I may add, not to obfuscate, but I was to respond to wife. There's religion, right? A set of ideals that can help everyone congregate and work towards a greater goal and be great and be moral and be amazing people. And then there's supremacy, right? So we have the idea of supremacy. So it's the people, and not even just, if you believe, it's actually if you're a certain bloodline as well. Like if we were to look at some of their verses, I mean, this is straight off of memory. Um, Even the best of the Gentiles. For example, this is from the Talmud, right? This is from the Talmud, I believe, Sophrahim. Even the best of the Gentiles should all be killed. So Gentile is a term that's openly used in Israel and by people who practice
And
Judaism,
then just
or
to be on the
extremists.
safe side.
Yeah,
True. And just to be on the safe side, this is not true for only Judaism. Like other
hmm
religions like Islam also have that, right? And it's all a misrepresentation of the ideals which are fundamentally, in good faith. Let's
yeah,
say Islam, they say bring people to Allah, but they don't really say that, that you should kill people or, maim people or, the
no,
Islamic
never.
extremists such as the
It
ISIS,
does say
what they do.
true.
That's like a big
Yeah,
problem of religion, not just, Judaism and all. I just wanted to clarify that out because I don't want people to think that, okay, we're
absolutely.
targeting one
It's
particular
the
religion.
text. It's
Yeah.
the text. It's the text.
Yeah.
But
I said it does say that though. It does say to kill people.
yeah. Okay. So I really don't want to lose my thing. The
Okay,
problem
you
is
can
that
talk. I could talk about this without being offensive because I myself was a Muslim, so it's okay. I know what's in the book, and I speak Arabic, and it's my first language. It does say to kill people. Look, you gotta check the history there, the historical context of the book.
Yeah, I agree with you. I
When
agree with
Muhammad
you on
first
that.
came,
I agree with you on that.
hold up, when Muhammad
I agree
first came
with you
to the
on
book,
that. But when I'm
you say, oh, the historical, the text itself said to be nice to people, except when they're different from you. But hold up, let me explain one thing. Before Muhammad was the how do I say it? When his message first came, when he first introduced the idea of Islam, this was a very bizarre thing to the tribes that were with him. This was a very bizarre thing to, I guess, the environment he was in. There were like Jews, Christians, and mainly it was like pagans. I don't know what was going on. But he was really nice at first. Like he was like, "Yeah, I'm preaching love. I'm preaching tolerance. There's no difference between a black man and a white man. There's no difference between a foreigner and an Arab. He said that people have the freedom to believe in whichever they want to believe. It was really, really nice progressive text that came out at the beginning of his prophecy, I guess. But the more power he
Yeah, the Charter
gained,
of Medina, right?
yeah, the more exactly like the
I think the
Ansar,
Charter of Medina.
it was different. It was different. It's like the New Testament, the Old Testament, New Testament. When he gained more power, except it's the other way around. The New Testament is nicer. The newer stuff that came out of Muhammad was not nice. When he gained more power and he was
Okay.
like the dominant force there, he was like, yeah, chop their heads. If they're not gonna pay tax for you, because it was like if you conquer a land and they have to convert to Islam, if they refuse to, they have to pay a tax. If they don't pay that tax, it's called zidya or something. If they don't pay that, then you have the right, the godly given right to kill them. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, again, that's the thing, right? Like that's the point that we're making about religion per se, that how it justifies dehumanizing other side or it justifies all these atrocities because fundamentally when you like say I'm just following God's orders, it separates you from the act, right? Let's say I killed a child, I might say, oh, I said it because you know the Yahweh told me to do it, or Allah told me to do it, or Jesus told me to, whatever, right? So I think that's like that can be seen across all religions, and I feel like that's something I feel like it's just used as an excuse. I'm sorry to say, to be blunt, it's just used as an excuse to justify.
Yeah, totally. One thing that I've noticed about religious people is not just them trying, because sometimes when you put them in a corner, especially if their opinion is the less popular opinion, they become this like, oh my god, they become the most spokesman for humanity. They're like, no, our texts actually say this, and our texts honor women. Actually, it says that the woman's money is her own money and her husband's money is also her money. They pull shit out like this, but when they are at least in a comfort space, like for example, like echo spaces on the internet, countries where they are the like 99% of them is Muslim, trust me, they're gonna switch up so like they're
Like,
not even gonna look
I mean,
at you as like an enemy,
just
but they're gonna
translate.
belittle you. Like that's how religious people are.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if
To be
they're the
fair, I mean, you
majority,
don't need to go far. Just yeah, you don't need to go far. Just translate the
and
Hebrew
that's because
text
they
on
have God on their
tweets.
side. You know,
Yeah, just
this
translate the Hebrew tweets, right? You'll see.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
take
but it makes sense. It makes sense why they act this
yeah.
way because they have
Yeah.
this like they have literal God on their side, and you're some guy being like, I don't know, gay or something. They will look if just the guy exists there and he's gay. They literally talk about him like they get to decide who lives or not. The way they talk about people is so condescending,
Yeah.
and it's so like superior and authority driven
Yeah. It's
because
like
that's
a
what it
holier than
is.
thou, holier
They
than
Yeah.
have
thou
a
type of.
literal God backing them, and who are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
A mere human being, and
And
a sinner at that. You're a sinner. You're going to hell. And they have God by their side. Of course, they're gonna have this like weird power
I feel
dynamic.
like that's
But
a
if I may add, the main text that's talked about when speaking about Jewish supremacy or Israeli supremacy, whatever you want to call it, or Judaistic supremacy, it's the Talmud, right? The Talmud is the oral law of Judaism. It's the oral law. It's the debate between scholars of how we should interpret the Torah and and what God meant and how are we going to enforce these rules. So if we look at the way the Talmud speaks, I mean, another example, because earlier I said another one, but another example, this is a direct translation from the Torah. Jews may lie, cheat, or steal from a goyim with impunity. So they have this supremacy over goyim, which is anyone who is not a practitioner of Judaism. Um, and if you're Muslim, Christian, any of them, you're a goyim, you're a Gentile, you're a goy, and it's okay to steal from you. It's okay to steal from you, and we're granted with impunity because you're lesser than us, right? Gentiles are not human; they are beasts, animals created to serve Jews. This is a direct translation from the Talmud, the oral law that was enforced in ancient Israel.
are you a Jew
Not
yourself?
enforced now, but yeah.
I'm not. I was a Muslim,
okay.
but yeah, I guess you can say I'm a Muslim. That's
All
how I
right,
grew
but
up.
I think I want to bring in one more point here. Because I think when we talk about religion, we are only talking about monotheistic religion, right? So I want to bring about what about polytheistic religions? Let's say Buddhism or like
Well,
Hinduism, or something along those lines, could they also be used for subversion? Because I feel like some ideas they don't really dehumanize other people in that sense. So
Hmm.
yeah, I just wanted to bring out, what do you guys think of polytheistic religions like Buddhism or Hinduism, etc.? Because I am someone who belongs to the, like, I was born in a polytheistic like family. Like I don't really, I'm not yet decided on what religion I want to follow, but I'm born in a polytheistic family, and to be fair, like our teachings have never been like in this, like you gotta do this, or like, all these basically hijacking of the word of God that we notice. We don't really see that
Hmm.
in polytheistic religion per se. So like, what do you guys have to say? So do you think religion, but it's not really a bad thing overall, but only the monotheistic interpretation of God has been hijacked in a way that is now used as a tool for subversion and justifying these atrocities? Or do you think it's consistent across all religions? Because
I feel
yeah,
like.
so basically the polytheistic.
Hmm. I feel like it's just religion. I feel like it's when a person or a group of an empowered group has say or pull over a religion, like like who wrote the Bible. Who really wrote the Bible, right? And who is writing about themselves being the chosen ones and themselves being the best, right? I'm not even gonna answer it, but you know what I mean? Like it's who wrote it. So it's when you're writing about yourself being the better one and yourself being this and yourself being that, that is the problem, right? It's that. That's what I find as being the problem. I don't know if I answered the question correctly, but
Well, this does come from
But I, no,
monotheism.
but you didn't bring
Mono,
the polytheistic approach, right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
yeah.
This is
We're talking
from
about
I think
polytheism.
I think polytheism might be able to, if you are born into a polytheistic society, and if you have that kind of thinking, and it basically, hard codes your brain, and if you are born to that, and if you think that is as a possibility, and you sees and you lives it, right? I think there's more openness about to other
True.
perspectives,
For
and
example,
Yeah.
then
like
well,
I'll say this.
I've had different, like
For
certain topics
example,
discussions
I'll just
with
explain
other
this.
people. Okay, please, maybe you go on.
Yeah. No, no, no. Sorry, sorry for interrupting. Okay, uh, my network was bad, so I didn't hear that you were speaking. I'm sorry. I'll just finish my point. All I just wanted to say was, for polytheism is basically like this: the monotheistic people believe that those who don't believe in them in their religion are going to hell. But polytheism don't see that. For us, it's like no matter what you do, if you live a life true to yourself, you're gonna go to heaven, or you're gonna basically not go to hell or anything like that. So like a monotheist has a problem with polytheists or people who are not monotheists, but a polytheist has no problem with anyone. So I think that's the best way to explain that.
well, you guys are kind of missing a point. Think about monotheism as an idea. It's pretty much saying my one only God is better than your God, and I will show you why. How will I show you? By living a better life. So with Judaism, by the way, they don't believe in heaven and hell. So
They
it's not
don't.
about if you don't believe in my idea, you go to hell. It's genuinely just like my God favors me, and let me show you why. Christians are also very much like this. That they will go to heaven and everyone else is going to hell, and they see themselves as above. But when you're a polytheist, you understand that there's multiple gods out there. There's multiple perspectives. There's multiple factors. And monotheism is a um very narrow view of
Hmm.
reality.
Yeah,
And
and
you said that you were thinking about what religion to be. I would say, as of right now, try to take the best point of each religion
I
and
agree
try to
with
have
you.
it converge. Like in
yeah.
Buddhism,
Yeah,
I believe achieving is beautiful and it's a beautiful state of being, but it might not be the best idea to attempt to set yourself up for material worldly success. It depends on what your
Hmm.
values are on, but I think that might
true,
be
true.
true. And also,
Yeah.
Christianity has a lot of
Yeah,
sex Buddhism and inspiration from
I
Buddhism.
agree with
Hmm.
you.
Hmm. And if I
It's
may
like
add.
it's like yeah, yeah, yeah. Please.
Sorry. If I may add, I've been wanting to say this for a bit, but I'm not sure if I'm not extremely educated in Judaism. I try my best to be as accurate as possible. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. But I've read about this. Judaism. from what I've read, isn't even a monotheistic religion. It's actually a deuterotheistic religion. They believe in two gods, according to what I've read, Elohim and Shinikana. So yeah, they're actually not monotheistic, from what I've read.
Okay, and one more thing, I just wanted to clarify. Even like Hinduism, we always see it as like the polytheistic religion, but it's actually a monotheistic religion fundamentally at its core. Like ethically, it's a monotheistic religion because they believe in the you know, they believe in one for all. Like there is one is all and all is one. So that means everything is part of the whole. But the
Mhm.
thing with the thing I want here is like I agree with your wife's take that that it's a good thing, and the way the monotheists want to live life is that I want to live life more wholly. Actually arguing against monotheism or polytheism, but rather we're saying which one has more susceptibility to be hijacked, and which one is a easier way to subvert people basically. And so like the worst case scenario, monotheism tends to be something that has often been misinterpreted to justify the worst of things, right? So like a famous quote in like India or a lot of countries is monotheism has been spread by the blood, by the sword. So yeah, so that's what we're arguing against, right?
I do want to bring something
Amen.
up because I didn't think about it like that. I'm coming back to what Whisper said, and that was a powerful question, and I appreciate you bringing that up from a person who's been born into polytheistic traditions. And I was thinking about this, that they don't demand the same things. They don't demand the same submission or the fear based obedience that
Agreed.
what was the term monotheism religions, we often see that. So like you were saying, in polytheistic traditions, the divine is expressed through multiple forces. It's not just one, because if we have one centralized voice, I guess that's easy to manipulate if it's separated. So I think, because in polytheistic religions, we see gods, we see goddesses of
Hello?
love,
Hello?
war. Hello. Um, we see
Hello?
all of these different types of pieces of the divine being separated, and it's just not one dimensional.
I agree with you.
And
Yeah,
to
It's
me
like, I
personally,
guess, yeah,
mhm,
please continue. Yeah, yeah, please continue. I was
it's
just
just a
I
dumb
would just
obfuscator.
say,
I was just saying someone was shouting, that's why I thought
Yeah,
somebody is talking.
it's a dumb
Please
agent of
continue.
chaos. Keep on.
Okay.
no, I was just saying too that I don't think religion in itself is inherently evil. I just think that it was a way to just structure the
Yeah.
mystery, like a way to organize all of this, and to pass down stories and ethics and things like that. But I also think that's what makes religion dangerous, regardless if it's mono or poly. It kind of comes. It's is when it moves from guidance to domination, and it's just like a hierarchy, kind of. So I think both can be used to manipulate and influence sometimes.
Okay. Like,
Hmm.
I guess the point that I wanted to make was I feel like fundamentally the world, like, I'm not saying which is true, which is not true, but I'm saying the world would be a lot more safer if polytheism was the only narrative that was in place. Because you'll never see a Hindu going to, let's say, invading a nation and asking people to convert to Hinduism or basically chopping their heads off. You would see that in monotheistic religions. Just like what happened to India when the Britishers came, what happened to India when the Mughal invaders came. You won't see a Buddhist or a polytheist doing that to other places. So what I guess what to sum it up, what I'm trying to say is if polytheism was the main narrative or the only narrative of religion in this world, perhaps our society would not be as it is today, like as destroyed or damaged as it is today. That's just what I want to say. And by the way, I don't want to say that polytheistic religions are wrong or right or true. I don't want to like get into that. As I said, I'm not really deep into religion, but that's just the based on values. That's
Hmm.
the argument that I want to make. That perhaps polytheistic religions, if they were in charge, things might not be as bad as they are.
Wait, Whispering Tempest, I wanted to ask you, do you practice a polytheistic or a monotheistic religion?
I am born in a polytheistic faith, but as I said, I do practice my religion because, of course, with my family and all. But to be fair, I have not really, decided on that. Okay, I believe that
Okay.
this is the only true way. I'm just exploring everything. So I read the Bible whenever I get a chance. I read the Gita, etc. But I guess when I say polytheism, I'm just giving it based on just values and the experiences and just history, basically. You would
Okay.
never see, you never saw a Hindu invader going to a country and killing the people and saying that, okay, if you don't convert into Hinduism, I'm going to chop your head off. But
Okay.
unfortunately, you've seen Christian rulers and Muslim rulers doing that, right? So, yeah.
Honestly, I
Mhm.
don't think monotheistic religions would be that bad if they accepted and allowed other monotheistic religions to flourish. Like it could just be like, hey, I believe in this God, and let me show you why this God is the best only through my good deeds for the earth. I still believe that you can also find God in your God, but let's just have a
Yeah.
healthy competition type thing where we try to see how much value we can bring to the earth. You
But
know,
but but
that's
I agree with you. But don't you think that's like basically the modus operandi of a monotheistic religion? Because when you believe in just one truth, of course you're gonna fight to make it the only truth, right? So like I guess you cannot like fundamentally by design, monotheism is unfortunately will go down this unfortunate slippery slope, right?
you are
You cannot
true,
just if you believe that this is the truth, of course you want anyone would want to push that truth forward, right?
and
So I
that's the
guess that's
problem,
by
right?
design.
That's the problem,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Like we believe that there's only one truth, where there are infinite amounts in this world, and
Yep.
if we all knew this, we will better be able to live together. When you're
Absolutely.
Yeah,
monotheistic,
yeah.
you can't just say. Unfortunately, they do. You're right. Everyone does this.
Yeah.
You can't just say I only know the truth.
Yeah,
That's
and
just
it's also there's also another component to this that I was talking about yesterday. I don't know if anyone was here yesterday, but it's easier to be loyal to one thing than to be loyal to many different things. If you have one God, if you let's say like there's one thing on you say, "Oh, God helped them." You say God not, you don't change between many different, it's easier when it's one God. It's more digestible. It's more I feel like it's just easier, and that also comes into many other it's exemplified through many other means as well, with issues and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But yeah.
but the thing is, again, I agree with you. But the thing is, even fundamentally, polytheism is also like ethically monotheistic. Like, I'm not talking about the pagan religions or like the Greeks and all. But what I'm trying to say is, let's say Hinduism and all. It also believes that yes, there are a lot of gods, but fundamentally they are part of the one God. But it
Yeah.
but it has not named that God. You understand what I'm trying to say? It believes in the concept of singularity, but it's not the name that okay, this is the name of that one God, and anyone else who says otherwise is a liar, and you have to kill them. That is not something that's noticed in a polytheistic religion.
But
And
they're going to
most
use that.
importantly, the thing is, no, but you won't like in polytheism we don't really have that, right? That this is the name of that one true God, the only God, and anyone else who says otherwise is your enemy. That's not something that you'll notice in a polytheistic religion. Even though fundamentally, polytheism is and it by design monotheistic because we believe that all is part of one, right?
Hmm.
So I guess that's
Okay.
just the point. And main thing is, I think main thing is a polytheist believes that there are other ways to reach heaven, because
Right.
by definition, all of us want to go to heaven. But a monotheist says that the only way to reach heaven is to follow my God. And that's what
Hmm.
causes all these issues. I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
but weren't the Romans kind of polytheistic? And
Well,
they
yeah, they
weren't
were.
exactly known for being peaceful.
Well, yeah, they practiced
Kinda.
more
Yeah,
nature paganistic religions.
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
pantheistic.
paganism is, I think, a little different, perhaps. I don't really know, but I was like mostly making an argument for Hinduism and Buddhism because that's like the faith I was born in. But yeah, I
Aren't
agree. Even
aren't the Buddhists in
polytheism is
Myanmar
acceptable.
murdering all the Muslims? Like, what's that about? Then
Said what?
I said, aren't the Buddhists in Myanmar murdering all the Muslims? The Rohingya? What's that about?
What's that's
I
yeah,
have no idea about that. But like,
Burma.
are they really like are they invoking God's name while they're murdering them or saying that okay, God asked me to murder you? Is that really what's happening? Is the religion the main driving force for this incident, or are they forcibly converting these people to Buddhism? And if they don't, they're being killed. That's the main question that you should talk about, right? Perhaps
In
yes.
my
I'm not saying that polytheistic people are more moral than monotheistic, but what I'm trying to say is polytheism more susceptible to be used as a tool to justify atrocities compared to monotheism? That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't. Okay, coming from the perspective of someone who's maybe not as experienced in this, but in my opinion, in my opinion, it just doesn't it doesn't matter to me if they proclaim their God's name, meanwhile they're murdering people. It matters what their religion actually teaches. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's the thing.
If the religion teaches that it's okay to do that, then that's where it matters. But it doesn't matter if people are bastardizing, it's if, like people are bastardizing a religion and using it as an excuse to do things. It's not that the religion itself is saying to do these things, right? So they're taking the religion, they're morphing it into a weapon of mass destruction, right? That's what I mean. But yeah, that's just the way I look at it. Like, that's just people
No,
manipulating a
that's the
text.
point I'm making, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying
Yeah.
is, I agree with you that they are bastardizing the religion and misinterpreting the God's name to justify atrocities, and
Hmm.
it doesn't matter whether they invoke the God's name or not. But what I'm saying is, in which case is it more susceptible?
Okay.
Which
Yeah, yeah,
people belonging to which faith are more susceptible to
I
bastardize
understand.
God's name and commit these atrocities? The polytheists or the monotheists? That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say, right? Because in no way, in by design, polytheism doesn't ask you to, go out there and convert people to your religion. By design, polytheism doesn't ask people to do any of that stuff, right? Or that you're superior because you believe in this. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the design of polytheism as opposed to monotheism.
yeah,
I
definitely,
mean,
definitely.
I've heard Ibrahim in here say the same thing about Islam, though. That by design, like for example, you can't force anybody who doesn't believe in it to live under Sharia law. I've heard this for the same argument used both ways. And how many denominations of different religions are there? Then you get into the problem of, okay, let's say we have people that are murdering people to convert them. If the people that are of that belief system in the same exact geocultural area, if they do nothing to stop those extremists, then they're condoning it just by the fact that
Like,
they're
but
not doing anything about it. They can condemn it and take the moral high horse there, but they can also let it happen because secretly they agree with it. It's not a black and white issue.
like,
Hmm.
okay, but are you their religion forcibly? Like, have you noted that? Like any incident?
Not
I mean,
really.
I'm not focusing on any one religion. What my point was that I've
No,
heard that
that's no. We're
same
talking about
argument.
polytheism here, right? That's
Right.
why. No, because Islam is again monotheistic, right? We're talking about polytheism here. That's the thing. I agree with you. What you said is absolutely true. But monotheism and polytheism we're separating out here, and we're talking about
But
polytheistic religions in general
when you say polytheism, what you're really saying is Hinduism and maybe Buddhism.
and Buddhism.
Whereas
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have a history of polytheism, right? Pretty sure the Aztecs that were known for sacrificing people on an altar, and when things got worse, they would sacrifice more people on an altar. Pretty sure they were polytheistic too. The
yeah,
Romans,
yeah. I agree with you.
notably warmongering, were absolutely polytheistic, unless you want to make the distinction that they were pantheistic, like of a pantheon, because that was a pantheon kind of religion, but it's still
Mhm.
a form of polytheism, I would assume.
Great
Yeah, I
point.
agree with you on that. That's I
I'm just
think that
saying,
aligns more with paganism. Yeah.
yeah, I'm saying look
No,
more
because
historically as well. It's not
yeah,
just what's
true.
existing
No,
current day.
yeah. True, true, true. No, because actually, when we talk about polytheism, since I'm born in a Hindu and a Buddhist family, so that's what I was trying to bring into the discussion. And to be fair, look, again, I don't want to again push supremacy because by definition, it doesn't the polytheistic religion doesn't propose supremacy. What I'm trying to say is that Hinduism has been around for centuries, right? Like for thousands and thousands of years, one of the oldest surviving religions. Yet you have not noted people it turning violent in any sense, right? And it's you have to give
Well,
commends
that
to that
gets
religion,
tricky.
right? That yeah,
I know the people that were high up in the SS in the Nazi army, for example, a lot of the high-ranking officials that dealt directly with the concentration camps themselves, So we're talking the people that really had a heavy conscience and had literal problems doing their job because what they were doing was so reprehensible. Some of the highest officers in the SS would carry around Zen prayer books and use concepts from Zen Buddhism to enable them to do what they needed to do. So it's not, again, by a population, current day Hinduism, sure, but I don't think I'd be curious to see if there was any direct correlation between polytheism and monotheism and being warlike and being peaceful when you put in the lens of history. You could argue by population it's not, because then modern day is going to weight more heavily.
Look, okay, I'll just again, I don't want to attack any religion, but how do you think Christianity or Islam spread in the world? It is like it has been used as a tool of the invaders, right? I'm not being against religion, but the way
I would argue
Christianity
that
came to
they
India
would
was,
argue
yeah.
that they spread by taking over the religions that already existed. So they just offered an alternate branding with better benefits to what was already there. Yes, some of them were violent
I mean,
overthrows.
okay, please
Sometimes they just
let's not get into better benefits because the way basically Christianity came to India was through the Inquisition of Goa, and I think you should look this up. Basically, the choice was either you turn into Christianity or you die. So there was this famous joke that either you choose our God or you find out right now whether your God is real or not. And the
like,
amount of
well,
horrific atrocities which was committed, all for the sake of converting these people in Goa, just mass genocide and all. You cannot really say that, okay, it just provided a better alternative and people thought, okay, there's a better choice, so we chose that side. It was
no,
not really the case,
that's
unfortunately.
not what I was saying. It had nothing to do with the better choice. I was saying that they took over the holidays that already existed, so that they kept up the same celebrations. They gave everything that what they were used to. There's a reason that Christmas falls on the winter solstice. There's a reason that Easter falls on the spring solstice, or real close to it. They took over what was already existing in a society, and they just got more popular. It wasn't always violent. In what you're talking about in your country, absolutely, it could have been. At certain points in history, in certain places, absolutely, it was. The Catholic Church was well known for, very violently reforming people, if you want to call it that. But we have to look at the entire lens of it. I don't think the claim is so simple, is all I'm saying.
Honestly, I think
Okay, look,
Charlie made a great point. He's saying that it's not polytheism or monotheism. He's saying it's mainly the culture of the society that makes them violent or not. And I think this has to go into play
uh,
of in Christianity, in Islam, these religions started off as peaceful religion. And this is the point also that Cake made in the past. She said that people switch up when you talk to them about their religion, right? I think it's less that people switch up, but their religion has so much words to read from and ways to interpret it. You can naturally interpret it in so many different, and that's why there's so many different sects and parts of Christianity, Judaism, and all of these religions. So it's really like how, unfortunately, it's up to interpretation of these works, and two, I think it's like the culture that's provided.
no, the only argument that I was making is I feel like polytheistic religions have lesser susceptibility to turn fundamentalist and be hijacked in the same way the monotheistic religions have been. That's all I'm saying. And someone mentioned the anti-Sikh riots. I think you should research more about it. I don't want to target you because I'm sure you're not aware of it. It was not really built upon a religious line. It was built upon the fact that a Sikh invoking his religion had killed the prime minister, and so that led to anti-Sikh feelings across the country, and that led to the persecution. It was not in no way like invoking the Hindu religion to justify atrocities against the Sikhs. So I'm not gonna target you because I'm sure you're not aware of what happened. But yeah, the anti-Sikh riot was not really a Hinduism puppet pushing its ideas on someone else and killing them.
I think for me, because like I like to step outside of myself and look at things from a bird view. And whether, if we're discussing one system or the other, I think like the real question isn't which religion is more violent or more effective, whatever you said. It's why do all major systems just eventually get corrupted by power. Whether it's mysticism, atheism, polytheism, whatever. Like at some point, the moment an idea about the divine gets institutionalized, it becomes a tool. It becomes a tool to either do healing work or just to harm. So I don't like, this is like kind of like a conversation about which side, red or blue, whatever. So I kind of like to step outside of that and think about it that way, because we've had rigid hierarchies, we've had kings, priests, whatever. It's just, it always gets used as a tool to control eventually.
And then I think notable, we have to bring attention to atheism too, because when you have all the deaths that fall under communism, like Soviet Russia, well, that's attributable to atheism if we want to go into death counts. And that's why I was talking about weighting it towards the modern time. You can easily do that. Like if you made a literal kill count of different religions, different forms of religions,
Okay.
if you bring it to the modern lens, then it goes all out of whack, because anything modern is just going to have such a bigger scale because the populations are so much larger. Meaning, what you could have is an atheistic death count that outnumbers all the other ones historically, because what, we were like 4 million up until the
Okay.
Industrial
I
Revolution or
think
so?
I think the discussion has been misinterpreted. What I'm trying to say, or what we were trying to discuss, was not that whether monotheistic religions are fundamentally violent or polytheism is better. I personally feel that monotheists practice their faith much better than the polytheists, and in fact they are more moral. The common people are more moral. The argument that's being made is which is more susceptible to be hijacked to justify atrocities.
And
That is
that's
the argument we made. This is not
and
about argument of superiority or inferiority. Okay, so
no,
please, I just wanted to clarify that.
yeah, and it's not an argument. Like I said, I just like to step outside of that and realize like both can be able to do this. I just feel like right now we're living in a time where we're seeing it just centralized into one God, I meant. But like for me, my my lineage, what we went through, we had a polytheistic religion, and then we were dominated, and by Spain, and it was Catholicism. So to me, I've experienced that, so I understand, and I believe the ancient Egyptians, they weren't mono, but I don't really know the history of that, so maybe someone can educate us on that.
They were definitely more of like a pantheon, like polytheism religion. They had gods for everything.
Right, you're oh yeah, the pharaohs, yes.
Yeah, they were
But as
like
far
the
as
more
like,
like the Greeks, where they had a god of the underworld, a god of the sky, a god of the sun, the god of the earth, the god of the, like they had gods for everything.
well, I was aware of that, but I'm talking about like any rigid beliefs that they had, whether it came to sacrificing and things like that, because the Aztecs, they had different gods for everything, and they were also participating in human sacrifice. But I didn't know if this was the only religion or group of people who had something like that belonged to that sort of religion.
But yeah, and then that's why I'm making the point we need to define our terms. If we're going to say which is able to be weaponized more by how exploitable it is, then is if our metric is deaths attributed to it, aka atrocity, presumably, then we have to define whether is the number of deaths or the rate of deaths, which gets even harder to pin down when you get into historic kind of stuff. Because like I said, if we go with just number of deaths, then we're going to weight everything towards what's going on nowadays, because there's just way more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's arguing for any one system, saying that one's superior to another, but you know, we're just arguing for what you could see as, uh, different societies that have been more warlike or less warlike. But I mean, it's a really common trope that everyone thinks that God's on their side when they go to war. So yeah, I think it just applies to everybody.